Okay, going in 3, 2, and 1. You're live.
Good afternoon and welcome to Power BI Lunch and Learn episode 5 of season 2. My name's Alex Taylor and today we have got a fantastic special guest all the way from Canada in Parvinder Chana. Thank you very much to all the attendees that have attended the last four episodes. You're in for a treat today as Parvinder will be going through time intelligence made easy. Before I kick off, before we kick off with Parvinder, just quickly go through some of my intro slides. So yeah, so far in season 1 and season 2, we've covered the likes of data modeling, Power Query, M-code, using parameters, maps and COVID data, handling errors and exceptions, the world of bookmarks, April and May's feature reviews, advanced Power Query, an introduction to DAX and variables, editing interactions and not your normal interactions, creating a random tool generator for our Power BI quiz, and various other topics. Do go to powerbisupport.com. Where you can access all the videos and slides and blogs from Lewis, Sheb and Ben. It's a fantastic site, it's said, and the access to everything that's gone on so far in season 1 and season 2. So do go there. Today's agenda, we've got a full hour with Parv, who will be talking through time intelligence made easy. Please do add your questions to the right hand side of the chat box, and Ben and Lewis will be pushing those questions to Parv if they can't answer them themselves. Parvinder will be going into detail about time intelligence, so if you have any questions, do put them to him and he will answer them either during the session or afterwards. If you are watching this on demand, unfortunately, your questions will have to go directly to Parv on LinkedIn. Bit of an intro about Parv. He's 15 years experience in BI and data, using the likes of Power BI, DAX, Power Query, Power Apps, Azure and cognitive services. I think Ben will give him a little quick introduction as well before we start. But the Power BI support team, we've got Lewis as always, 10 years experience as a BI contractor on the Microsoft stack. Ben Howard, who is an experienced 25-year Power Platform consultant or Power BI consultant, specialising in projects. He'll probably correct me in a moment on this. Sheb, who's our producer. He looks a lot. His hair's a lot different now, thanks to lockdown. But he's a MSc certified BI Power BI architect and trainer, and has helped set up this Power BI lunch and learn sessions over the last 7 weeks. And before we go, tomorrow night the Power BI Manchester June session part 2. 2 weeks ago we had issues with Benny, so Benny's doing a whole session to himself on troubleshooting Power BI report performance. Benny's a fantastic speaker from Holland, and he'll be going into detail regards to how to troubleshoot your Power BI reports. So do tune in tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. The Teams link will be on the Meetup site. I'll send it through to anyone that wants it, and we'll be on for about just over an hour again. All right, without further ado, I'll pass over to Ben.
Okay, and hello everybody, welcome. So as Alex said, World Tour season 2 episode 5. Just a quick recap on what we've done on this so far. As we said, a World Tour, so we had Sumit Gupta, who came over from India, or well, he didn't come over, but he talked about improving performance. Marie from Spain, who talked about data cleansing. Warren from Australia, who used some maps to tell us all about well, to illustrate in many respects the crash stats that were in Melbourne, but talked us through all the maps options we had. Greg Deckler from the US last week, disconnected tables and a ton of DAX. And this week I'm very happy to introduce Parvinder Chana, who is originally from India. He's now in Vancouver, in, of course, Canada. He's a super user at level 4 in the Power BI community. And of course, this session and all of the others that I talked about all have been recorded and are all on powerbisupport.co.uk, not .com, so powerbisupport.co.uk. So, Parv, can we get you on the screen and have a chat? We don't need to see me anymore.
I'm supposed to be on the screen, am I?
You are now, yeah. How are you doing?
Awesome. I'm always good, my friend. How about you?
Great.
Early morning, but always good.
Early morning. So, Vancouver, what time is it in Vancouver?
4:36 a.m. I should tell Wednesday as well, because sometimes the different time zone could be in a different day as well. So it's Wednesday still, early morning.
Yeah, early morning for sure, for sure. Listen, I gotta say, so on your picture that Alex put up, you had a bit of a less beard. Is this your lockdown beard? Is that six weeks worth of beard?
Yeah, that's my COVID pandemic look.
Your COVID pandemic look, and so I'm liking it. It's looking, it's a lot better than mine. So it's a nice one on that one. So tell me, how come you ended up in Vancouver? How long have you been there? And what took you there?
Just nothing special. In fact, I was actually planning to come to UK. I visited UK back in 2001. A lot of relatives, as every Indian has in UK. So
yeah.
I visited there for my cousin's wedding, and we were in a process of planning to go to United States, and unfortunately 9/11 happened, and the whole slew of things just stopped there, and Canada was just another option.
Yeah.
Just to explore, to see what's going on, and when I explore different part of the world and just experiment and see how I was very happy in India, and actually was doing really good. It's just exploring different part of the world, and end up in Vancouver because a couple of my friends are here. Yeah. And that's it. Now it's my home, and just hope to live the rest of my life here. But let's see how it goes.
Yeah. Hey, well, I've been to Vancouver. It's a lovely place. Enjoyed the skiing up in Whistler and the whole of the mountain area up there. Absolutely fantastic. So I don't blame you. I could talk for ages on this, but tell me how you got involved in the Power BI community, and why are we doing time intelligence today, other than it's 5:30 or 4:30?
Yeah. Community is as we all know, Power BI is a very young product relatively compared to other BI tools in the market. I started using Power BI when it came back in preview in 2015, and there was not much resources at that time. I never used DAX or Power Pivot, something like that, before Power BI, in fact, and everything was very new to me, and especially coming from the SQL background, it becomes a little hard to understand DAX. It's just painful, simply, right? And the community was one of the places where I find I can ask questions and get some answers from the experts and all the stuff. And as I learned and had a little bit more knowledge about how this whole things work, especially DAX, I just get involved in the community and wanted to give back to the community too. As I learned from community, in fact, from other people. And I also want to give back so that I can share my knowledge and whatnot. Why we are doing this early in the morning? One of the thing is what I found, because I'm very involved in the community forum and Power BI, and I found like out of maybe 50 questions if I answer every day, or maybe 100 questions answer every day, relatively like 50%, maybe more, are related to something to do with that calendar, time intelligence, like looking into year over year, give me average for last 10 days, exclude weekends, right? Give me some inventory of the closing balance of the last month, every last day of the month and all this stuff. So some or directly or indirectly related to time intelligence. And I think in BI world, time intelligence, especially anything you are comparing over period is the key part of any BI reporting. I haven't seen any report which does not have anything to do with the time. So I think it's a good topic to talk about and go over some business use cases and whatnot.
Brilliant. No, I agree. I was doing some stuff just in DAX on time intelligence yesterday, And so it's always something that's needed. And on behalf of the community, I'd also like to say thank you very much for putting the time and effort in to answer all of those questions. I've certainly been on the receiving end of plenty of people's answers to some questions that I've had over the years. So I guess without further ado, if you want to share your screen, we'll get your screen plugged in, we'll get you plugged in next to that, and away you go. So let's see, if you want to share something, I'll let you know when it's shared.
Yeah, I shared a PowerPoint presentation. Let me know if you get to see it.
Yeah, we've got it. So I'm going to shut my mic off. I think we agreed you'd probably do 20 minutes, 30 minutes. We'd then have a look at if there's any questions in the Q&A, we'd answer those, and then you'd carry on. Was that the plan?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so for everybody out there, all of our attendees, please ask any questions in the Q&A as usual, and we'll get Parv to answer those very shortly. Over to you, Parv.
All right, awesome. Thanks everyone for joining. I'm very happy to be here, and today we're going to talk about the time intelligence, dates, and anything related to the dates. I hope you guys, the takeout from this session would be that you guys have a little bit or more advanced, I would say, understanding about how the dates work in Power BI, what are those time intelligence functions in Power BI, and how we can take advantage of those functions, and in fact, how we make it very easy, because I find myself get caught into time intelligence a lot. People ask all those various questions, and sometimes very hard to even put together. Like certain things work when you're looking at the date level, then they don't work at the month level, or they don't work at the year level, they don't work at the total, or sometimes the total is correct, but not looking at the same year on the month level is not correct. So we're going to go through some of the use cases about how this whole things in time intelligence works. But before that, I just want to quickly run by an agenda here. So basically what I'm going to talk about is why date table is important, why we need one. I've seen many Power BI reports where there is no date table at all in the model, and people are working on year-over-year comparison or last week comparison, whatnot. So we're going to see why we need a date table. What is time intelligence functions? What are those when we take time intelligence? What we talking about here is just going to quickly actually show some of the DAX, time intelligence functions, and then show how we use those to meet our business needs. And then some debugging techniques. Basically, what happens is when you see your DAX is working, you created like a, for example, used a function called dates in period, and then that works in certain contexts, but does not work when you're looking at the same measures on the year level or the month level. And of course, a quick rundown about the best practice and summary one must do when they start creating Power BI reports and whatnot. And a few links which I put together. I think those are really good one to go and learn more. And just to let you know, there's a lot of stuff on internet on the time intelligence. You can surely self-learn. The purpose of this thing is just going to give you a how to look at the dates, how to debug those, instead of copying the formulas or just taking year-over-year formula from somewhere and making it work, but actually understanding how these dates works. So I think that's the agenda. And quickly about me, I'm in Vancouver, here in British Columbia, Canada. I run my own company, own consulting company. I was more into a software development and the business applications development. Last 5 to 6 years, almost 10 years now, more focused on BI. And since Power BI came, and I'm pretty much in doing Power BI. I'm a Microsoft MVP. Just got my renewal for second time. I was made MVP in 2018, and this was my first renewal. Super happy about that, and get an opportunity to learn from experts and share with the community. You can reach me on my email is there, LinkedIn and whatnot. So let's quickly run what is a date table and why it is important. Just to let you know, there's only 4 or 5 slides. I want to go more on a showing things instead of actually talking. But let's quickly talk about what is date table and why it is important. Before we go, like, what is date table? Let's talk about why it is important. As I mentioned, DAX has like in Power BI, we have index. When I say DAX, it means those functions are available in if you're using Power Pivot in Excel as well, right? So, we have like around 44, 45, I think 44 plus DAX time intelligence functions like date, add, previous year, previous month, dates year to date, same period last year, parallel period. All these are time intelligence functions, and they work with one of the key parameters for these functions is the date, because if you're looking at the let's say same period last year, and that function need a date as in a parameter to it, where would that come from? Everything will be driven from the date table, and that's why it is important to use these time intelligence functions. You need to have a date table in your model to make these time intelligence functions work. Now, and also it is a best practice to have one single, if possible. Sometimes it is not possible, but mostly you have one date table in your model, so that when you're looking at the data, let's say you're looking at the number of orders received in a month compared to number of orders shipped in a month, and you want to slice and dice the data on the same granularity, like by year, by month, by quarter, so you get the same count of numbers. Rather, you have different calendar to slice and dice the two different things. So this is like a common table to do anything on the time intelligence with various measures or fact tables you have in your model. Why that's important? So that's one of the things. And what is a date table? How it is different than others tables in the model? So date table is a special table in the model, which is like has a date range. It could be 10 years date, it could be 20 years. Let's say you have 10 years of your data. First date of your data is in your transactional system, for example, is back in 2010. So your date would be starting from that year and going until today, up to the full year of today, the current, or maybe in the future as well. If you have a data like planning for the future, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 years, so your date would expand up to, you need a date table which will be up to the future date as well as from the previous dates. What is the key component in this is, like the date table, you will have a continuous dates. You can't have the missing dates in there. So if we are talking about, let's say 2020, so we will have a date table with 366 dates starting from 1st January 2020 to 31st December 2020. There won't be any a missing date. It has to be a continuous. So that's what makes it special. And then also in Power BI, we mark this table as a date table. Why that is important? Why there is a need for that? There are some special when you use time intelligence functions using the data as marked as a date table. They have some metadata behind the scene which works with these time intelligence functions. There is a link in my slide at the end when we share this. SQL BI, Marco Russo and Alberto Ferrari has written a good blog post on that, and you can go through that and see why it is important to have market date table as a date table. So that's what we're gonna do. So what is the time intelligence functions? What are those? It's just a common name of different functions doing anything to do with the dates, or like for example, cumulative total. We are calculating same period last year's, and I just talked about. And here I listed a couple of time intelligence functions. Date add, which is highly used. Dates between, when to use dates between, what is dates in period. We have tons of them like year to date, month to date, quarter to date, total year to date, so many functions, parallel period. And what is the common in all these things? So all these functions which work on the dates, and those are called the time intelligence functions. I think that's pretty much on the slides. I just want to give you and set up just a background of what is date table, what is this time intelligence functions. I'm just gonna quickly stop sharing and share my another screen, and let's see some of these functions in action. Give me a quick second. I'm gonna switch over to my another screen. Hang on a second. Any question we have so far before I switch, or are we good?
Let me just have a look at the questions. Q&A published. No, nothing that is going to stop you in your tracks.
Okay. Let me share my screen quickly.
Whilst you're doing that, congratulations on your MVP renewal. It's a pity.
Yeah.
Pity the conference was cancelled this year,
Yeah.
or rather physically cancelled. It was still held remotely, of course.
Let me know when you guys see my screen and if you're seeing something.
You're online now with that screen, so we've got a Power BI chart with yellow and blue.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, here is a simple Power BI report. There's a one table in here, which is connected to the Excel sheet. I'm just gonna quickly show what it is. Let's look at the data here quickly. We have a sales table, pretty typical example, like we have a product in the sales table, order date, due date, ship date, and sales target key and sales amount. The key thing in this is we have 3 different dates. Now, if I want to see an order shipped in 2012, orders we received in 2012, and also we received, for example, the orders shipped in 2012. Either I think before I go there, the one thing you guys will notice always, when you have a date in your table, you will see this hierarchy automatically. Where is this coming from? This is very, very important to know. A lot of the models I see, there are, you have the dates and then there are hierarchies of the dates. So the question is, we all get very excited. Oh, I can now use this hierarchy to drill down in this particular example. For example, I have using my due date and then sales amount, and I can drill down to quarter and month and whatnot. Now we have basically what is happening. The Power BI behind the scene has created a hidden tables for each date table. That's its internal function. This is I would recommend one should never ever use these tables, never. And actually these tables should not be in the model at all. Think about that. I've seen the models. In fact, I was working on a project most recently. One of my clients, they have around 20 different tables in the model, and all of those have like different dates. Each table has a different dates and whatnot. And their model was around 1.5 gig, around 25 million rows. And they had all these tables in their model, all these dates has the tables in their model. And they were using these dates for their slicing and dicing the data. But of course, if I'm taking the date year from the due date, I cannot have a ship for the same year using this date hierarchy coming from due date. This is where the date table comes in the picture, and one common table in the model, which is linked to all these dates and allow us to slice and dice the data on the same common year or month or a quarter field, and we get the numbers what we're looking for. Now the question comes, how and why this is there and how we should get rid of this. One thing I want to show you, if you go in options and settings, and if you go to options, this is where you have the option in data load time intelligence. If you look at this one is auto check mark. It means every date in the model, it will have its own calendar table. So you can learn more about, of course, it's written, just click the link and open on my another screen. But anyway, so this is where it is. If I turn this off, this would take away those date, what do you call, the hierarchy or the internal calendar. And you can have this setting on a report basis as well. As you can see, this is current file, and or you can also have this as in a global. It means you do this setting on the Power BI. They put it in here because this specific reason that you don't want every time you start the Power BI and you bring a data in your model and then it automatically create those date table internally. So if you turn this off, which I always recommend you do, you will never see those date tables coming up automatically. So what's the solution? How we work with this? I'm just going to quickly bring another, and not one thing to point out. It's not because we don't. Let's say if I have only one due date column and not have the other dates, should I still use this table, or should I still add another date table? As I recommended as in a best practice, always have a date table, a common dimension in your model, and then use that for your time intelligence. On top of that, all this also, let's say these three dates in this particular file, it has a performance and also the model size. It has the impact on that as well. As I mentioned in another the current project I'm working on, multiple dates, 1.5 gig of a file size. Once we turn off the auto date time, it came down like around approximately 50%. The model size went from 1.5 gig to 700 megabyte and whatnot, and we would still able to, of course, better performance, one common dimension, and it's such a drastic change. So I'm just gonna, what I did is I created another report, similar report. Now it has the sales, as you can see, the same table. As you see here is the due date and all. Let's go look in the data here first. Same table. Let's go to the sales table here. Product key order date and same date format. Sales traffic, same table. But now you see in due date and order date and ship date, we don't have the date hierarchy because as I said in options and settings, I have turned off my auto date time turned off, and so that I don't see it. And sometimes people I see complain, oh, I lost my hierarchy. Now I don't have it. It was a year, quarter, month, day. Now I don't know what I'm going to do. So here I just added a calendar table. There is a blog post on my website which have a talk about how to create a date table through DAX. It says a minimum columns in here. So I created this as in a date table and marked as a date table. So there is a special, once you go select a table and I go mark as a date table. One of the things it does is so this is because already was marked as a date table. It's asking if I'm gonna unmark as a date table, but let's go back and mark as a date table. And when I select my date, it validate if this column, the date column in my date dimension or date table was not a continuous dates, this would not have validated. So this validated means I can mark this as in a date table, and of course the icon on my date column will change, look like this calendar or I think it's calendar, but that's how it changes. Now, going back to the hierarchy, so we lose our hierarchy when I seen people complain about that. I had a due date, I had a hierarchy, I had an order date. You can create your own hierarchy in Power BI. I don't think everybody knows that. You just drag the column. Let's say if I have a year, quarter, month, and date. I have this custom month. I want this just a part of the hierarchy. I just drop it on that, and it will become a part of the hierarchy. You can create as many as you want. If I just want the hierarchy, of course, month and quarter only, and I just drop those together, and it creates the hierarchy, and I can call it whatever I want it to be. So this is what you should be the starting point. Create a date table, mark as a date. Now, again, you can create date table through DAX, to Power Query, or maybe on your data source back in SQL Server or whatever your data source is, or an Excel sheet. Maybe you have the date table created in Excel sheet. The fundamental is that it has to have a date, continuous date, whatever the number of years you pick, like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. It has to have. It should not have a missing date, and that's that. How it comes in the model, it's your preference. Create through DAX, create through Power Query, connect to Excel, or maybe it's on your data warehouse and whatnot. Let me quickly run through this particular why this is important as well, like why we turn off auto date time. The same sales table and same when the auto date time was on and when the off. Through Performance Analyzer, I just did some analysis. So the first is showing when the auto date time was off, as in this case. So the model size with even this one particular table, it has 60,000 or approximately 60,000 records. My file size is 493 kilobyte with only 2 tables in it. Actually, there's a sales and date. With the auto date time on, with the previous file we saw, my file size was 2.02 megabyte, even with 60,000 records, one table with the 3 dates. And there were 6 different tables. Now, what are those 6 different tables? As I mentioned, there was a hidden tables. Every date has like hierarchy. It created internal table, and those is not visible to us, but they are created internally, and that's why the count of 6 tables here. So now we're looking at like approximately a size reduction of 75%, even just making this small change. And think about if you have millions and millions of records in your model, multiple dates, how big of a data model is and how much you can change it by switching this one setting and bringing that date table in the model. So that's about like the fundamental when you start a new report. Two things you should always do: auto date time off. If you haven't done that as a global setting, add a date table in your model. Mark that as a date table, as I showed you earlier, and use that with your model. And a lot of times the question comes in this particular, like I have, again, I don't want to go too much into relationship and all the stuff because that's a different topic, but then it comes into like, okay, you know, I have my date table. In my ship table, I have 3 different dates. If I said the now current relationship is date with the order date, it's an active relation. If I do with another relationship between due date and the date, oh, this relationship is inactive and I can use it. And similarly, ship date with the date, because you can have only one active relationship between between 2 tables. So how we use these tables if we have one common date dimension? In the Myers, you can use the function called use relationship. Use relationship function, you should read about that, is basically make your inactive relation to active. So you use that. That doesn't mean that we need 3 different date tables and connect those 3 differently. Now, if we have one common date table connected to the 3 different dates in the sales table, if we're looking at the data at the year or the month level from the date table, we can have either number of orders shipped in the same date, number of orders due in the same year or month, number of orders we received on the same month or date. We can drive all that from the date table. So these are the, because I seen in the community, oh, you know what, I have a employee hire date and an employee termination date. I want to do some analysis or retention and whatnot. How we do that? Like, should we have two tables? This is an inactive relationship, all this stuff. Basically, you need to use the measures for your reports and make these inactive relation to active using user relationship as a DAX function. Let's just, I think those are the background. Let's look at how everything works in terms of time intelligence and whatnot. Here, I'm going to quickly talk about the internal cook measures. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that the best way to learn time intelligence and all this stuff, what I found is you use the quick measures. If you don't know the quick measures, you should look online. Pretty much, let me show you how does this work. So let's say I have a sales measure. It's simply a sum of sales amount, and there's nothing fancy in that. So with the quick measures, I can go click on this and say new quick measure. And here what I have is, of course, tons of options. What we are interested in this topic is, like in this discussion, is the time intelligence. So as you can see, we have like year-to-date total, quarter date, all that fun stuff is there. So even you are not going to use the quick measures, but if you really want to learn about time intelligence, you can always look into these functions. So for example, if I go year-over-year change, so it's asking me there's multiple things it needs. Okay, what is my base value? Of course, that's the sales which I want to use. What is the date field? Now again, you can read on which date field you want to calculate this. So date field, as I said, it will come from the common dimension. So from our date table, it will come. So I pick date. Number of periods is saying like year-over-year change means how far back you want to go. You want to compare with the previous year. If you're in 2020, we want to compare with the 2019, or maybe 2020, we want to compare with the 2018 or 2017. So if you want to compare with the previous year, it will be 1, but if you want to go 2 years ago, this will be 2, which is very rare, but let's assume it's year over year, we are comparing with the previous year. So if you do this, okay, and of course I have a couple of those already created, it created another one. Let's take a look. So if we look into this function, so it is a variable, it's stored like, as you can see, it uses the date add function. Now from here, you can learn what it does is it says, take the date add, this function. The first requirement is give me the date parameter, which is coming from our date table. How far back you want to go? I want to go -1. If I say I want to go back 2 years, so this will be -2. If I want to go forward, this would be 1. So you can, with the date add, we will talk more about this function. It's very, very flexible. And of course, the third parameter is that you want to compare previous year, or we have a previous month, or quarter and whatnot. But what happens is with the quick measures, it already created this statement for us, and now it is very, very easy to understand what it is doing. So after that, it's just taking, this is a previous year sales, and take current year sale, or the, when I say the current year in the context of when you're looking at the data, and take off previous year and divide it by, and that's give us the previous year percentage. So I simply here display that in the report. So here year over year. So as you can see, for example, if we go in 2012 in January, we have 495. And 2011 in January 469, so there's a 5.44% increase. So very, very simply using this quick measures, having the date dimension in our model allow us to make this calculation. And from this calculation here, if somebody says, I want to see the difference, I don't want to see the percentage, instead for me writing a new measures, I can simply take this thing. I know this is already done by the quick measures. And I can learn from here. What I need to do here is create a new measures, and I just copy here and say let's say from previous year, and it already have, I just don't need the percentage in this case. I don't need anything of this. This is giving me previous year, and I just created the measures, a measure from that particular quick measure. And now if I go and drop it in my values here, so I'm gonna get to see, oh, this is giving me the previous year, not the difference. So 506,994, 466,334 in the previous year. So if I want the difference, of course, that would be sales minus previous year. So what is the absolute difference between same period previous year? So that's a 40,000 increase, and this is the reduction. And so there's a quick measures is another way for learning how these date functions or time intelligence functions works, and you can then from there tweak these functions or learn from these. Again, I have a couple of things here. There was yesterday I was working in a community, and there was somebody asked my month. That's why there is some error in here. I was experimenting before this, but let's use that. She said that I want a custom month. If you look into the side, he said my month start from February 26th every month and goes up to 25th of every month. So it's not like a 1st to 31st, but it starts from 26th of every month and goes to 25th. So very easily, I was working on, it was yesterday on the community. So there was a very quick formula here. I just want to quickly run down. There are some of the DAX functions or time intelligence functions are very, very rarely used. Like this is one of this. End of month, this function, as you can see. So what he wanted to do here is very simple. If you look into this formula, what we done here is we said, okay, I want, if the day of the date, day is of course returning me 1, 2, 3, 4 of the date. If it is more than 20, if it's greater than equal to 26, because that's what we are interested in knowing, then take the end of month of the date. So whatever the date is, so let's say if I'm on the 25th, so what is end of the month for this is going to be 31st of January 2010. And the second parameter of this is showing me 1. So let's look into what does if we give the explanation. So it says end of month start date, which is our date, and the months. So for which month, if I'm in January, and I want to see the end of month of February, it means I want to move 1 month forward. And if I want to see the last date of December, if I'm looking at the January, then go -1. But if I want end of date for my current month, I just say 0 here. So what does that mean is it's going to looking at the date. When it's looking at the date in the context, if I'm on 21st January 2010 and my second parameter is 0, I'm going to get the date here 31st January. If it is -1, I'm going to get 31st December 2019. If it's +1, I'm going to get 29th of February. It's a leap year. So now, because it was very, very easy for me to do this logic here, so I said if my date is greater than 26, then take end of month for the next month, which is February, because on 26th, I want to call it February 2010. I don't want to call it January 2010. So this function gave me that. But if I'm not in greater than 26, I just wanted to be date to be the same, and then I just formatted it. And with very, very simple thing, I added the custom month in my model. And custom month sort is because if I don't use, again, one thing is very important. You guys look in my blog post when you guys get chance. The sorting is very, very important because generally when we have like a January, February, March, the month names, they are not in the order. we have to sort them by number, because alphabetically April come first, and that's not how we want to see it. So I don't want to go too much into sort by, but that's important that you also sort your columns the way you want to see them in the order you want to see them. So again, custom month, if I have to create a custom month sort, because if I don't sort it, let's simply look. This one is using custom month, but let's quickly note. Let's say my custom month is not sorted by custom month sort. So what happens here? As you see, the x-axis, I'm using custom month. It's April, August alphabetically now sorted out, but that's not how I want to see the data. And that's why I did the custom month sort, similar logic, but I put like a year first and the month later so that I can sort it by this. So if I look at the custom month sort here on my x-axis, I show you how does it look like. So 2011, 01, 2, 3, 4. So it's in the right order, but I want to see January, February, and that's how I use the custom month sort. So now what happens is, why with the date dimension, it gave me the opportunity to add this custom month in my date table. Now everything in my report, if I want to see any data like sales, month over month or year over year, I can see it through custom month as well, because it's in the common dimension table in the date table. So this thing makes very, very useful as well. Again, quick another example here. There was another post on the community. For example, he has like this is simple data here I put together. Let me just quickly show you the data. It's a month end table, I called it. 2 columns in here. I have a date table and the value column. Let's say this is an inventory end of every month. So the inventory on January 1st doesn't mean anything. I want the closing balance, what is on the January 31st, pre-calculated for me. And I want the inventory for every month end. And another question was, I also want on the current month or the current date, I want as of today note, because there's no end of month. So if today is July 8th, I want an inventory on July 8th. So what I did is I quickly put together the measures here just to share, because this is a common question again comes. I just want to see how did I solve it for this one is, so let's look at my month end value. This is the measure.
Just Parv, just as you're answering that and common questions, just want to give you a quick time check.
Mm-hmm.
So we're about 20 past the hour now, so
Okay.
we'll wrap up in 10 minutes. We've got a few questions in the Q&A I'd like you to go through. So that's your kind of 5-minute warning, my friend.
Awesome. Yeah, perfect. So I'm gonna quickly talk about this is like how we solved it again. What I did here is, again, I like to use variables because I don't know sometimes what I'm doing. So with the variables, I store the values in a variable, and I can actually debug it, to get the return the value from the my variables and see how does this works. So in this case, again, pretty simple. I want to know end of month I talk about, because what we want to do is take the max date on end of month of the current, so which is make like let me actually show you here. Last date is the same thing. This is better to explain. So what I have done here is, let's look at, so we say, first of all, we have the function like a date. So check this. Okay, so what is, if I bring my last date into this particular table here. So in this table, if you see, I have a date coming from date dimension table, some value. It's just a simple sum on the month end value, and the last date, which the measure we created. So what is, I said, give me the maximum date in this in each context. So the maximum date is the same date because we're looking at this row right now. And if I say my next function was end of month of my maximum date, comma 0, because I want to see what is my last date of the month is. So if you wrap this around, so for each of the date, I'm getting the last date of the month. So on this is January 2010. So I'm getting the January 2010. When we switch over to February, so we get the last date. So this is, now I know this is the last date of the month, and that's when what the inventory I need for this date for that month. So in this particular function, quickly, so what I did is I said, okay, give me the end of month of the date and the minimum of that, so that when I'm in today, I want for the December, sorry, for if we go into, let's sort it by, so if I am in current year in 2020, my end of date for is going to be the future dates, because I have the calendar in the future as well, end of the year. But I don't want the date to be my last date. I want the last transactional date in that case, or today. And that was the question. So what I said is, in this particular case, give me the minimum between end of month and the today. Of course, in current year after July 8th, anything, if I use this particular function, take back to my last date function here quickly, replace this, same thing, and see what happens here. Again, simply anything with the 2020 past 8th of July is the last date is going to be 8th of July. But for rest of the years or rest of the months, the last date is going to be whatever the respective last month for that month is. So now, once I know what my date is, once I calculate my date, and let's go back to my measure month-end value. So then it becomes very, very simple. I said, okay, this is my date, and then give me the sum value, which is just a sum of my my year is simply a sum of my month-end value. And I said, okay, I don't want to see for each day, but I want to see the month-end value. So filter this on the end date, and keep filters, I have to say, because to keep this in the context, the date. And now, if you quickly look at this, so I highlighted the end of the month value. So if you look in the January 2019, the end data transaction on 1st January, 14 January, 31st January, but I need only 30th. So in here, as you can see, I'm getting 30 pieces or whatever that unit is. For February of 2019, I'm getting 10 and 30, so forth, so on. But when I go to July 2020, which is my current, I'm getting 24th, because that is, I said, give me the last date or the today's date, which is 8th of July, and I get 24. So a couple of functions being used in this particular. Again, end of month is a very not commonly used function, but very, very useful.
Okay, Paul, I think we're gonna have to almost wrap it up there, unless you've just got about another 60 seconds worth. No,
let's get to question answers then, because I have another sheet, Power BI to share for some good stuff.
Okay, well, if we've got those files, or if people can get them on your website, then certainly we'll publish those. So thanks. That was good. Great. I had a quick look through the time intelligence measures in Power BI, the quick measures as well, and also there are some on the community forum that Greg Deckler pointed us to the other way. So a couple of questions. Let me just read them out, and maybe you can answer them off the top of your head rather than you having to navigate around the forum. So one from John Keegan. which says best practice is to have continuous dates for the full year. Of course, as you said, what if you report on fiscal year, for example, July the 1st through to June the 30th? Should your date table begin on January the 1st or July the 1st? And should your date table end December the 30th or June the 30th? And kind of how do you handle that fiscal year? I know Calendar Auto has a fiscal year piece, but I don't think as advanced users would use Calendar Auto.
Yeah, if the fundamental is you need to have the continuous date. It does not need to start on 1st January to 31st January. If your fiscal is June or July 1st to June 30th, yes, your calendar will be, let's say if it's only 1 year data, it would be July 1st to June 30th. As far as these are the continuous date, when I mark as a date table, it only validates there is no missing date. It does not matter whether they start from January 1st or not. So
Brilliant.
If you are always analyzing on fiscal period and never going to look into the calendar date, yes, you will just create the table from that date. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thanks for that. Let's just do one other because we've got to wrap up, but we will, for everybody who's posted questions, we'll get them answered anyway. And of course, you'll be able to see them as you rewatch, of course. One from Paul, I think we know the answer to this. Hi, is there any option or DAX expression to slice by week number, for example, year, month, week, day?
Yes, you can surely do that. Again, it goes down to, again, this is my another report. So here I have a week number. Again, you can have whatever the unit you want. You can have like a whatever way you want to group your data. That will be another column in your model. Yes, you can surely do that. Let's say, for example, I have a day of weeks, weekday number in here probably.
Yes,
I don't, but yes, you can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, the issue we always have, of course, that people don't really realize is you can slice by month, but weeks don't nicely fit into months. And so that's typically, your issue. You'll end up going for January, and that'll be a bit of week 5 and a bit of week 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant, Parv. Thanks very much. I've got one question, which if you can answer in 30 seconds would be great. You created a date table in DAX. You can create them in DAX or M code. In the query editor, do you have a view on which is the best or preferred way? I know we had a demo of both ways, I think in season 1.
I would recommend, so this is one of my best practices recommendation, which is going to summarize in the end, is I usually have a template for my Power BI report. I start from that. In that template, I have a M code written in there. And I start with that. When I want to start any report, I start with a template because there is an M code already in there, and it automatically take the minimum and the maximum dates, what is going to come in your whatever the tables you add in the model, and it automatically creates the date table from that. So I use M code mostly. DAX is quick. I rarely use DAX to do that, and because I start with the template, all my report starts with a template. And that has already a date in it, a Power Query M code, and like I actually can quickly show here as well. In this one, I think I have M code. Let me see. But yeah, my recommendation would be Power Query if you can.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Yeah, we've done that before. And I think that's certainly a big table on that. All right, Parv, listen, thanks very much. Do stay online because we'll have a chat once we've closed this off. I should be sharing my screen now if my good friend Sheb can put that on, just to let you know what's happening next week. We've got the season finale. Sheb, am I sharing that screen?
No, you're not at the moment. If you can share your screen.
Start sharing. Yeah. Okay. There we go. I love the tech. There we go. Thanks very much, Shab. So here's the season finale for season 2. We have Adriano da Silva, who is, of course, our special guest. What's he going to be talking about? Web scraping with Power BI. So going out and taking data off the web. So that's really going to be another exciting one. I don't know what time he's going to be getting up. Possibly not 4:30 a.m. Nice one, Parv, for that. That's brilliant.
It'll be about 8:30. The 5 hours behind in Florida.
Oh yeah, Florida, of course, east side. Thank you very much. And a little hint for season 3. We're going to be asking you guys, our studio audience, if you like, have you got anything that you want to do as a show and tell, a great implementation or case study of Power BI? Have a quick think about that, and we'll be formally opening that up. Everything, of course, is on Power BI support.co.uk. Thank you very much to everybody for turning up, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Wednesday, please do join Alex and Benny for tomorrow's session at 6 o'clock Manchester Power BI user group, and join us next week for our last session with Adriana. Thanks very much, everybody. And Sheb, if I've missed anything, or any of you other guys you want to say bye-bye, let's do that.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Ben, Paul. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a great week, guys.
Okay, bye-bye.